represented in the World Health Organization.
Yes.
So, po,
it's for all member states.
okay.
So,
Health
representatives, Your Honor, for the other member states are also
You know, how can a foreigner work for in behalf of the interest of a country if he's not a citizen of that country? That's the issue that I am raising. Why is it?
Your Honor, the DOH represented the World Health Organization and assigned to the member state. So, for example, in the past decade or so, no Filipino was designated by the DOH to the Philippines.
So, in other words, they are represented by the WHO, and it's not the other way around that we, the Filipinos, must be represented in the World Health Organization.
Yes.
So, po,
it's for all member states.
okay.
So,
Health
representatives, Your Honor, for the other member states are also not the country where that representative is designated.
And that procedure is something is so so new sa amin All the thought that the representative of the country on the World Health Organization is being represented by us, Filipinos. But now we have found out na sila pala ang nagbibigay ng representative sa atin. And this representative, Usec.Tayag, is the one us on all the health protocols that we are following, especially on this us in recent years. Is that correct?
If you may recall, Your Honor, there was the IATF, and this is the highest body that was responsible during the pandemic response that we had. While the WHO guidelines or any issuance are considered, independently the IATF was able to
And that's the
make
reason why.
issuances.
Primarily, ang sinasabi po natin that the WHO representatives guide us on all the issuance of memorandum and circulars and resolution that was issued by IATF. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yes.
but not solely from the World Health Organization.
And not all binding, in other words. Correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that's the reason why I'm asking if we tried to inject some amendments on the 307 amendments that they have filed, because one of the specific and most important amendment that they have in the international regulation, now we will be binded with all those guidelines. Kasi yun na nakalagay po doon sa kanila pong sa kanilang amendments We will all be binded already, not only as guided. Binded na po tayo sa Article 1.
Okay.
Do you know that? You said
I confirm because the IHR of 2005 that was put into force in 2007 was a legally binding instrument.
But we are not bound to follow it, correct? Because they are guidelines.
It's a legally binding instrument, Your Honor.
Well, of course, it was issued by the IATF. That's why it's legally binding. But what I'm trying to say is those guidelines that was issued by the WHO, we are not legally binded by that. Correct?
The IHR's purpose was to make sure that the standards on protecting and preventing the spread and transmission of infectious or communicable diseases or other hazards or public health threats will be detected very early, reported, notified, and will be responded to, Your Honor.
Okay. So, I yield back to Congressman Ako.
You said, Usec.Tayag, that the representative of our country recommended by WHO would be accepted by our country. Did I hear you right, Usec?
It's not a representative of our country, but the word WHO country representative is that parang ano siya, Your Honor, siya yung parang ambassador ng WHO sa Pilipinas.
Pero hindi natin pwedeng tanggihan.
Yes, in the past, if I will recall, there were instances na may nireject ang ating bansa.
So it's possible that we can also reject the person from WHO who would represent our country.
Yes, kasi hindi naman outright po na binibigyan nila yung post, yung kanilang nominee, and even after the approval, okay, the WHO has processes na it all goes up before that WHO country representative will take his post. In fact, for the country representative Ruli, it took many years. There was an OIC before he was finally designated and begin to hold his designation, Your Honor.
Thank you. You mentioned that the pronouncements of the WHO regarding certain health issues would be legally binding on our country. Is that correct?
It is not.
It is.
It is not.
It is not. So we can tell WHO that we're not going to follow your directives. Can we do that?
We don't have to tell them, Your Honor, because when these guidelines, and there are so many guidelines, and for many public health programs, in fact, the WHO will encourage member states to provide their experience so that there can be amendments, changes. So these guidelines are evolving, Your Honor.
The question of the chairman a while ago was that whether these are guidelines or, shall we say, some directives which are mandatory, and you said these are legally binding. When you say
It's
legally
the-
binding, what
It's
does
the international health regulations that I was mentioning, not all the guidelines from the WHO.
Mr. Chair,
because it's not only-
Mr. Chair, if I may, no, because the international health regulation acts as international law, and that's the reason why when they issue guidelines, no, and being followed by our IATF, it is legally binded as well. Diba? But the IATF has the option not to follow all these guidelines because these are not binding yet, right? In accordance with the international health regulation, Article 1, nakalagay doon, non-binding pa tayo as of this moment. But on May 2024, if those amendments, which we did not reject, will be form part of that regulation, all of us will be binded already.
Okay.
Even we issued all the guidelines, no? The guidelines of the WHO will be followed. Yun yung nakalagay po doon sa
Okay,
international health
let
regulation.
me put this into context, Your Honor. So, may
But before you
international
proceed,
health
Chair, would like to
regulations-
acknowledge the presence of Chairman Congressman Roman Romulo. Welcome, sir.
Okay. So we have the international health regulations that was put into force in 2007. And then it had at least 2 amendments in 2012 and 2014. And then, because of the pandemic, the context was we have to review the international health regulations of 2005. Most likely we missed something that needs to be addressed. That's why the discussions and negotiations began, so that if there are any IHR amendments that will be ratified this year, then the purpose was to improve on the international health regulations of 2005, Your Honor, because of the experience and the information
okay.
we had for this pandemic, Your Honor.
But how did you miss the 307 amendments that was proposed by the technical working group that was adopted on May 2022? That was huge, yung 307 amendments. But before we continue on discussing this, Congressman Chairman Acop, can we go back to the items or the agenda first?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was talking about the deliverables in the last hearing. So may I ask the DOH, you were directed to provide the committee with a report establishing causality between vaccination and adverse events using the Brighton collaboration method. Have you submitted this?
We have submitted it, Your Honor, and we want a clarification if you will allow me, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
The Brighton collaboration in 2000 was created with the purpose of making sure that patient safety is paramount. This is pharmacovigilance or vaccine vigilance so that the Brighton collaboration started with standardizing the case definition so everybody will be at the same level or footing when they report these adverse events following immunization. For the causality of the adverse events following immunization, these are any untoward medical occurrences after a vaccination. The World Health Organization issued a manual for how to proceed with doing the causality. So the Brighton collaboration just defines so that what we mean by, for example, fever, what do you mean by fever? Anaphylaxis, is that different from an allergy or from just an asthma attack? So that everyone will be guided so that when they report it, you don't mix apples and oranges, for example, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The DOH or FDA was also tasked to furnish the committee with a certified true copy from the World Health Organization of the official document on the method established by the WHO that determines causality. Have you submitted it?
We have forwarded the manual from the WHO on the causality assessment of adverse events following immunization, including the algorithms, Your Honor.
Meron. The other item to be submitted is that the DOH to submit the formula by which testing and commodities are computed.
Your Honor, may you repeat because I'm conferring with my team here. What's the request again, the nature of the request?
Yeah, the DOH to submit the formula by which testing and commodities are computed.
Testing?
Testing and commodities are computed.
Testing and commonalities. I think
Commodities?
yeah, commodities. This was asked
Commodities.
in the last hearing.
I'm sorry, I have to confer with
All
my
right,
team
okay.
exactly the nature of the request.
And-
But Your Honor, I'll come back with a response. Thank
Yes,
you, Your
okay.
Honor.
And